totally miss you. Really freaking miss you. Dude, I totally miss you all the time. Dude, miss all the honesty, and honestly, I can't imagine. I forgot the lyrics. Dude, I totally miss you all the time. Dude, I totally miss you. I really fucking miss you. Dude, I totally miss you all the time. Yes, I got.
Yeah.
I've been practicing too much of my own solo stuff, so I don't know how to cover other people's things anymore.
Thanks, Blake. We'll get you back again when you've got an original ready.
I will have an original ready, honestly. I just don't have anything ready right now.
Cool. Well, thank you. That was awesome.
I've been trying.
Hey, that's all right. Come across to...
I've got like 3 half songs, 2 half cars, and 3 almost full-time jobs. So we're getting there though. Hello. I hope you guys enjoyed my enjoyable rendition of Dude, I Totally Miss You.
That was the best way to get
I shot Tenacious D years ago.
Nice, nice. In my vision, I had meant to give mementos to MMAD because I miss kind of being a part of the vibes, and we're seeing all these wonderful faces again. Hello, guys. And you all just make me so nervous because you're lovely people. So, yeah, it's good to see you again, and I hope you enjoyed what I had at least.
Good job.
Yes, that was beautiful.
Love you.
Sweet. So I guess we should jump on in to this class. So I'm Gabro. So Chris, firstly, I feel so blessed to even be able to talk to you. Like, I seriously look up to your work so much. Like, this is unreal for me. I'm not crazy. Okay, no. So I guess let's start off by, for everyone who doesn't know who you are and what you do, could you maybe introduce yourself a little bit?
Yes. How do I say this? My name's Chris Cuffaro. I've been a photographer now for 50 years, celebrating 50 years this year. Started very young. When I discovered photography, I fell in love with it right away and knew it was going to be my life's. I knew it was going to be my life. I've been working in Los Angeles for almost 40 years now. Everybody knows me for my music work, but I've done it all. I've done everything from celebrities, advertising, interiors, flowers, nudes, you name the subject, I've probably done it at least once. I'm a crazy creative person who likes to do nothing but create. And most of all, as I like to tell people, I do what I love and I love what I do. It's that simple. And it's given me what I consider the best life of anybody I know. And as I like to say, I have more fun than anybody I know, and I can prove it because I got the pictures. And as I always like to say, I have a million stories and the photos to prove it. I can tell you about all sorts of crazy stories, which I'll tell you guys, whatever you want to know. And I go, and there's the picture, and there's this. And so I've been blessed. And just to let you guys know, I just turned 60 back in April, and my friends still can't believe I'm 60 because I act like I'm 30. I feel like I'm 90. As I tell everybody, I mentor so many people everywhere. I tell them all the time, just do what you love and you'll be fine.
That's so beautiful. I mean, that's the only way to, live your life, I feel, is do what you love.
Well,
So
just so you know, it's like there's people out there that are lucky that do what they love and then make a living at it, which is great. It's, you know, the balance of, you know, art and commerce, making money and having a living and paying your bills and living is one thing, and then doing what you love is another thing. It's, as I like to say, it's I've done what I love, but there hasn't been one easy day ever. And so to me, it's important that you try to find that balance.
sure. So how about, would you be able to like describe your journey for us? Maybe where you started and what you're doing now?
Oh God. Okay, the short version of a very long story. I'm not going to go by year. Let's start with year number 1 and we'll work our way through 50. No. So basically I picked up a camera in 6th grade. It's around 10 years old, I think. And I took my first roll of film. My mom processed it. She brought the pictures back to me and I said, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. So in 7th grade, I took photography class with Mr. Kitajima, and I was the class kiss ass, and got to use the 35mm cameras more than anybody, and started processing and printing my own stuff. And I knew right then and there, by the time I was 12, I had clients and business cards. Started chasing models around 12 years old. They were older women to me at 18, but they were still women. And then I started shooting concerts at 16. I used to go to concerts growing up in the Bay Area. Big music fanatic. Next to photography, music's my passion. Everybody from, you know, I always tell people I would go to concerts to see Earth, Wind & Fire and the Commodores and Rufus and Chaka Khan. And I would bring my camera, sneak it in and take some pictures. And it was just amazing. And the 60s and the 70s were amazing for music in the Bay Area. So it was a lot of great music, great shows. But I was shooting mostly models during that time in high school and stuff because I like girls. And so I thought I'd be a fashion photographer. So I moved to LA when I was 21, came down here to be a fashion photographer. And the first day I was here, my first day on the job, who's my best friend to this day, who's my big brother to this day, he sat me down in the office and he goes, what do you want to do? I said, I want to be a fashion photographer. And he looked at me and he said, not going to happen. I said, what? And he goes, you know nothing about fashion and you're not in New York, so forget it. And I was literally heartbroken. And he said, so get to work. And I said, okay. So it took me about 3 years to discover that the whole fell into the music thing. Shooting, I knew this Playboy playmate named Karen, and her boyfriend was this famous music producer, Keith Forsey. She introduced me to him. He produced Billy Idol and all of Billy Idol's records, and he produced the soundtrack to Breakfast Club, if you know that movie. And so next thing I know, I took pictures of him. I made a little promo card, sent it out to magazines, and a musician magazine called me up and hired me to shoot my first big music shoots, and fell in love with it. Started to meet my heroes and music heroes and hanging out with them. It was like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. So within the first couple of years, I had met most of my heroes and knew this is what I was going to do. Music was my calling. So, but like I tell people, like I was still shooting other things too. So it wasn't like, I hate the fact, I always tell people, I'm trying to sell myself as this music photographer, but I want people to know that I did more than just music. Like it drives me crazy sometimes.
Wow, this is so unreal. You've got some incredible stories. I can't even fathom. Like, wow.
Have you watched the videos? So on my website, cuffarohits.com, you can watch the stories behind the pictures. I have like over almost 100 and something videos of stories behind the pictures. People like the stories, and I do too. That's what my project is all about. It's the stories.
I haven't seen them yet, but I'm going to have to now.
Yeah, behind every picture is a great story. That's really what it comes down to. The pictures are great. I'm a process-driven person. I'm all about the process. I can care less about the pictures. It's about the process of making the pictures that makes me happy.
Mm-hmm. So the next question was really, how has music changed your life?
Well, I've talked to many mad people through the years that Dom has introduced me to, a lot of music lovers out there. Look, first question I ask everybody, I was like, what would we do without music, especially during these types of times? It sucks. So music is everything. And I always tell people, truth is, I would rather be a musician. I wanted to be a musician. I tried to play guitar once, and that lasted about 2 days. And then I thought I'd be a drummer. That lasted about 3 hours. But I have no talent. But my theory was, if I can't play it, then at least I can be around it and then meet my heroes and document or meet, or, you know, and also kind of liked the kind of crazy people. I'd meet people that I felt I was alike to, because when you're crazy, in my family, I grew up, I was the youngest of 4, and everybody was serious. My brothers were cops and normal people and normal jobs. And I'm the weird kid going, I want to be a photographer. I have dreams. And they're like, you're a loser, go away. So for me, it was about just finding that shooting and just creating to this day. Like to this day, I always tell people if I don't shoot, I'm not a happy person. It's my Prozac, as I like to say.
I'm sure that goes for most people in this call as well. As yeah, music keeps everyone going, especially
totally.
MAD. MAD's what keeps me going.
Yeah, music, I'm telling you, how many times have you been like sitting around and you just put on a record that just can change your mood? Like, honestly, like, so I always tell people, ask me all the time what kind of music I play. And most of the music I play, I call my high school music. It's the music I grew up in high school during the 70s. It's Earth, Wind and Fire. It's the Commodores. It's Heat, all bands that you have no idea about, but it makes me feel good. I'm not going to put on, as much as I love Nirvana and Pearl Jam, and it was great in the 90s, I don't put that stuff on anymore because it just doesn't really make me happy. I want to put music on that makes me smile and makes me feel good. So it's always disco, 70s disco. So, but like, I'm not going to put on some angry punk rock record to put me in a good mood. Not right now anyways. Yeah,
for sure. It depends on what you're feeling. So the next question I had is, could you share a career highlight with us? If you could pinpoint one of the many, I'm sure you have.
Seriously, you're like, okay, so first of all, I have a new website, if you want to have a laugh. It's called Cuffaro50.com with the number 50. And on there, I put the 50 greatest moments, photography moments of my life. Everything from the first roll of film to everything in between. And I'll give you some highlights. I can't say one because there isn't really one. Some of my highlights have been, again, people you don't know, but shooting Burt Bacharach, meeting and shooting. He was my hero as a kid. He did songs like Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head and What the World Needs Now Is Love, Sweet Love. A million hit songs. So meeting and shooting him was a big one. Shooting Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson's wedding was a big thrill, and I've been friends with them since. Shooting my hero, Maurice White, the leader of Earth, Wind and Fire, shot him, was a big thrill. Shooting Phil Collins in London, documenting Jane's Addiction for 2 years, who's my favorite band. Shooting, Nirvana, the first time David joined the band, was a great thrill. Directing my first music video with Pearl Jam. So Jane's Addiction was from 89, no, I started shooting in 89, but from 1990 to 92, those 2 years, I always say were the best 2 years of my life as far as music, experiences, photo sessions, because that grunge was taking off. It was the first Lollapalooza. And I was on top of the world. I was shooting everybody who was anybody. Life was good. And I was getting paid a lot of money. So it was a lot of fun. But shooting, it was always like, everything's really, you got me, like my I've got like 20 other ones I can think about, but like shooting, meeting the people you admire and spending time with them. Like I got to shoot all these legendary actors through the years that I grew up, like Kirk Douglas or a Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau. Meeting people you just grew up going, oh my God, these people are amazing. And then meeting like here's a dumb story. So growing up in the Bay Area in the 60s and 70s, in my high school, I grew up in the hood. So I always tell people, I was the only white kid that I knew. I didn't know I was white until I moved to LA. I had no idea. People are like, you're white. And I'm like, no way, really? But I grew up in the hood. And in my high school, our god in our high school was Carlos Santana. Everybody loves Santana. Greatest guitar player in the world as far as I'm concerned. So years into like 85, 86, I get to meet him, shoot him. Like, you get that moment where you're just like, pinch me. I must be dreaming because this is amazing. And he's amazing. And it's so amazing. And you're just sitting there hanging out with him. And then you get to watch him play guitar and like this close. And you're just like, oh, and we're talking. And I got this picture. And you just drive home and you're like, oh my God, what did it just happen? This is the greatest thing ever. And I call those moments, I've had a lot of them. One of my craziest moments was my first trip to Australia. I was there in 1988 with George Michael. That's when I fell in love with Australia. And we were there for a month in Sydney and Melbourne. And then on the way back, we stopped in Hawaii to do 2 shows in Hawaii. So we land, and that day we land, the manager says, you want to come to dinner tonight? And I said, sure. So I go to dinner with him, and it's me, the manager, George Michael, Elton John, and our friend Kathy. And I'm sitting at the dinner table going, this is wrong. I should be at the kids' table over there. Why am I with the adults? It just doesn't make sense. And there you are asking, hey, Elton, can you pass the salt? And you're just like, it just blows your mind. Just like shit like that. I've had tons of those, tons and tons of those. Because I still feel like I don't belong. So it kind of adds to that.
That's absolutely insane. I mean, that whole feeling of like meeting your heroes, and that's always the moment. That's what one of these moments is for me, honestly. Like, this is one of my moments, especially with MMAD.
Oh,
they've given us a lot. But just again, thank you so much.
No worries, all good. Now when I come to Sydney, you're going to have to come down to Sydney and visit.
I know. Next time. Dom better tell me. No. So this next, we've got about 15 minutes. If you were to teach us 3 things, anything really, any life advice, anything technical with photography, if you were to teach us 3 things.
Okay, so this is what I tell for all the musicians out there. So when I was just in Sydney for 3 months, I was there November, December, and January. I was there 6 months last year, but the last 3 were November. I did 15 shoots with all sorts of new talent. And I mentor a bunch of musicians now, and I mentor bands and photographers. I have so many people I help. And I'm telling everybody right now, get my email address from Dom. You ever have a question about anything, life, work, creativity, anything, email me any freaking time. You can call me direct. I don't care. This is what I do. I've spent my life, the last 10 years, helping everybody live their dreams because I have lived mine 100 times over. So my simple 3 advices that have kept me going per se is 1, you find a mentor. You find somebody who can help you and listen to you vent and go crazy because this life is not easy. And I have that. I have that in what I call my big brother, my friend Jack. He's been my big brother for 40 years now, and he puts up with me, and he usually just tells me to shut up, which is what I need sometimes. So find a mentor, find somebody who's been there and that can help you. If it's music, find yourself a musician, somebody who's, done it, get the help, ask somebody. I always tell people, there's 3 quotes I live by, and I collect quotes as a hobby of mine for many, many years. And my 3 number 1 quotes are, a goal without a plan is a wish. Think about it. Because if you don't have a plan, I don't give a fuck what you're trying to do. It ain't going to get done. Number 2 is, it's all in the game, yo. You either play or get played. So don't get played. So by not getting played is by being smart. Educate yourself. I'm a big believer in education, about learning everything you can, how you can. You don't always learn it in a classroom, but you can learn it from people. You can learn it from experience. You can learn it from life. And my favorite quote of all says it all. Life is difficult. It's even more difficult when you're stupid. So don't be stupid. Be smart. Education. I always tell people, I hated school. I always speak the truth here. I never went to class. As soon as I discovered photography, my attitude was, what do I need to know English for? Because I'm going to take pictures, and a picture's worth 1,000 words. So I'm going to write millions. What do I need to know math for? Screw that. What do I need to know anything for but photography? So I had keys to the school darkroom and the school alarm system, and I never went to class for 4 years. The only reason I graduated was because I played golf with the teachers on the weekends because they knew my dad. So education's everything. I tell people all the time that you can learn in different ways. Like I always jokingly say to people, I'm the smartest person in the room because I just know a lot about a lot, because I'm curious and I want to know everything about everything. It's just who I am. That's how when I'm curious about a subject matter, I go take pictures of it. And that's how I learn about it. Like, just be curious, learn, absorb. And I love it. I always tell people, like, I can sit down with a director, a writer, a creator. I can sit down with, photographers, and I can sit down with a chef. I know more about drums than I really want to know. I know more about makeup than any straight guy you'll ever meet, because I've been working with the best makeup artists in the world. I know more about so much shit I wish I didn't know about, but it's about learning. So education is everything to me. And I apply it to my photography, and I know my favorite musicians that I've sat down and had serious talks with, rappers, hip hop guys. Those guys are all about words, man. A lot of them read and want to learn vocabulary, which I don't know. When I started directing music videos was when I found out that I should have took an English class, because I had to write my first treatment for Pearl Jam. And they said, write us a treatment for the video, what it's going to be. And I just wrote, see band play, go band go. And my best friend, thank God, said to me, Chris, you're not Dr. Seuss and you can't freaking get a job that way. And I went, well, I can't write. I just didn't know how to, I didn't know how to write. So she taught me how. And then one of my interns I had for years was an amazing intern and an English lit major. She taught me how to write. So I learned how to write. So education, education, education about everything. And most of all, last rule that I've lived by is always have fun. If I ain't having fun, I ain't showing up. It's that simple. I've literally at my own events, I tell my publicist, if it's not fun, I'm leaving. And they're like, Chris, you can't leave. It's your event. I will walk out so fast. I have to have fun. That's why I laugh at people who do jobs that they don't love or do jobs that aren't fun. I'm like, I don't understand. I don't understand how to live that way. I can't imagine living that way. So it's always about having fun for me. Like even, that's what keeps me young. My friends here, when you meet my friends here, you'll be like, oh my God, Chris, they'll all say that Chris is annoying. He's crazy. Just ignore him. And it's because I'm just like, I always tell people I'm a little kid. There's the 12-year-old boy is inside of me and hasn't slowed down. So does that help? I don't know if I talk too much.
You definitely don't talk too much. You have a lot of things to say and a lot of incredible
I'm looking at everybody
stories.
laugh at me. I'm just kidding.
It's funny. We can't even hear them laugh. That's the funny bit.
They're all just like, who's the cranky old man?
Well, that's
Get
beautiful.
off my lawn. Get off my lawn.
I think a mentor is a good tip that I think everyone should listen to. So,
Huge,
thank you.
huge. I can't tell you how many I've had through the years, and different people. This is no lie right now. I literally mentor probably 50 people at this point. The last 10 years of my life, to take a sidebar story here. So 10 years ago, just over 10 years ago, I lost the most important person in my life. She was my business manager for 25 years, and she was basically my mom for 25 years. She raised me, made me what I am today, taught me everything I know about life, love, work, everything. And I lost her to cancer 10 years ago. And I dedicated my life to her 10 years ago, promised her that for the next 10 years, I would tell everything I learned from her, I would pass it on to everybody else. And as I go along, and I've done that. And I'm making her proud because she was the first person to believe in me, and I will not let her down. So I'm a firm believer in if you find that person, you find that mentor. I always, to this day, I don't work hard for me. I work hard for my friends that believe in me. And that's really what my motivation is. I would never let you down or anybody down because that's just not how it works. So Terry was like the best of the best. And she, I always tell people this stories. I'll tell you this one story. I used to just like, her office was in the back of her house and she had kids and dogs and everything. And there was a time in my life when life was difficult. I had a broken heart and I wasn't happy about things. And her motto to me for years is, which is my motto to you guys, which is do the work. And so I would sit there, go in her office and cry my eyes out for an hour. I'm going to kill myself. Life sucks. I don't want to live anymore. Duh. Just be depressed and just whatever. And she would not stop working. She just worked for an hour. Just let me go on and on and on. An hour would go by and then I'd be like, and she'd look at me, she'd go, are you done? And I said, yeah. And she goes, go do the work. Get your ass back to work and I'll see you next week. I said, okay. She not once in 25 years did she pity me or say, you poor baby. She always kicked me in the ass and tough loved me. And I needed it. She knew I needed it. And she always said to me, do the work, do the work. I'm actually going to make a t-shirt that says that, do the work, because it's my motto to this day, do the work. If you want to do this, I want to be a rock star. Well, do the work. Learn how to play the guitar, learn how to entertain, learn how to perform, learn how to do the business. The business of music is harder than anything. So, you got to do the work. You don't do the work, nothing happens.
I think I really needed to hear that personally.
So get off your lazy ass and get to work.
Okay. I will. So this next bit, I have my own questions that I wanted to ask you.
Shoot.
But before I did that, I thought I would just tell everyone here where they're coming from and a bit about my experience with photography.
Uh-oh.
So it's pretty new. I am pretty new to photography. I first took my camera out anywhere. It was to a live festival in Coolangatta 3 years ago. So when I was 16.
Okay.
And I took some really terrible photos, but it was still just getting out there. From there, I've just taken my camera everywhere. I feel like you got to just get out there and shoot. So I took it to Blues Fest, where I got some awesome pictures of like Melissa Etheridge and Seal and Tash Sultana. And then I was mentored by an incredible man called Hannon Paul, who was one of Tara's friends. So he got me my first ever media pass to shoot some really, really Australian bands. And now I'm just learning how to edit. So I am trying to do the work. I'm getting there, thanks to
First
COVID.
of all, right now, I'm going to tell you this right now. And I tell this to everybody. Shooting pictures, playing the guitar, doing anything that you want to create is like sex. The more you do it, the better you get. So you have to work at it, like sex. You have to work at it. I tell people all the time. You don't, I mean, I wasn't great right away. I was great maybe about 2 months into it. Natural gift, but no, but you have to you have to shoot. And that's why back in my day, it was really expensive because I had to shoot film and processing. I would spend thousands of dollars just to take pictures at a concert, you know, but it's easier now. You should be shooting at least once or twice a week and try doing things that you've never done before too. That's really important. Force yourself to shoot things that make you uncomfortable.
Definitely, I agree. Now I will do the work. I'm going to make you that promise. So when I see you, you shall see. So my first question was, I think you've kind of covered it. It was, when did you know you wanted to pursue photography full time? Like that moment.
Well, okay. So there's two parts of that. We're all adults here, right? Everybody's over 18, I hope. So
almost.
Okay. So,
we've got a few 16-year-olds in this.
Okay. Well, when I was very young, a young boy, I used to look at my dad's Playboys. And that was a big sign of me wanting to be a photographer, because I said, that's the only way I'm going to get to these girls. And so I was all about girls at a very young age. And to this day, all these years later, 95% of my friends are women. I love women way more than guys. I have lots of guy friends, lots of them. But I have a lot of women friends in my life, and they all run my life and are all trying to kill me. But that was a big part of it, was like knowing that, oh my God, there's something there that you can meet girls. I wanted to meet girls at a young age. And so that, and then all of a sudden, then it was the music thing. Then all of a sudden it was like, oh, I'm taking pictures of my favorite bands. So there was this, all the things that I liked revolved around photography, and it was connected to anything that I liked. Food. I'm a big Martha Stewart fanatic. I used to buy all her books and magazines. I love shooting food. So everything I could use photography to get to anything. I got to use photography to shoot hockey players. I was a big Wayne Gretzky fan, and I got to shoot Wayne Gretzky because I was a hockey fan. You know, so it was always using photography opened doors for me. So at a young age, I saw that right away, that a camera could get me to talk to a girl. You know, like next thing I know, I'm 12 years old talking to an 18-year-old saying, hey, baby, you want to do a photo shoot in some bikinis? And they're looking at me like, what's this little kid asking? And I'm like, you want to see my business card? You know, I was like, it was just what I was, you know. And they would sit there, and the girls would always be like, oh, you're just a kid. And then they would go to these other photographers that are older, and then my pictures would be better. And then within a year, they were all like, oh, we're going to shoot with Chris, you know, because I was very serious about what I was doing. If that makes sense. Wow,
that's not what I quite expected when I asked that question. So that's like the best answer ever.
Yeah, but I don't know the exact moment, like, oh my God, you know, but I just know that there was a period of just this, it was opening doors for me, and still does to this day. I mean, it really kind of does. I just feel like if you sit there and you want to, like, you say you're curious about, I wonder why people surf. Why do people like surfing? Well, you know what? Go shoot surfers, and then you can have a conversation with them while you're shooting them, and you get pictures, and you get to learn about why they like to surf. I always tell people that's what I use. That's how I got to, why musicians. And every time I shot the musicians I loved, boy, would I, be nosy as all hell and ask crazy, stupid questions. And they'd probably be like, I'm sitting there talking to Phil Collins going, oh my God, so you guys play this and this and this and blah, blah, blah. And they're looking at me like, what the hell is he talking about? Just the way I was.
Mm-hmm. It still is a little bit like that, especially around here.
but when you're shooting concerts, right? You go to concerts, you don't have control of the situation. You're just shooting what's in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
I like shooting concerts. I have done a million of them, but I prefer one-on-one with the band or sitting down in the studio or on location and doing stuff. So to me, that's what I enjoy most was like, but concerts, I didn't even think you could make money doing concerts back then, and you could. So.
Well, that kind of leads me into my next question, which is, what do you think makes a great photo? So in particularly live music, but what do you think makes a great photo?
I just wrote a blog post about this yesterday.
Okay.
And my friend laughed at me when he read it. So basically, there is no such thing as a bad photo in my mind. I tell people all the time, I said to you, take a photo and send it to me, your favorite photo. And if you took a picture of a pile of dog shit on the pavement, upside down and, in black and white and said, here, Chris, it's your vision. It's your idea. It's your thing. It's not good or bad. It might not be what I like. I don't want to see a pile of poo, but it might be what you see and capture. So I always feel like you got to have that. My biggest thing I always tell, I don't know how you can see it. I see it. 3 things I wrote about this. Number 1, honesty. Be honest with your art. That's I don't care if it's music. I don't care if it's painting. I don't care if it's pooping on the pavement. Be honest. That's the number 1 thing. I tell my musician friends all the time, be honest with your lyrics, be honest with music, and if somebody likes it, yay. But that's not what it's about. You're doing it for yourself. I take pictures for me and nobody else. I don't care if you like it or not. Number 2 is most importantly is just passion. Got to have passion. I'm a very passionate person about everything in life, and I believe most of all in my art. So be passionate about your work. Give it everything you got. And the last and most importantly is just, have fun. Otherwise, that makes a photo. Like I don't think there's a right or wrong. Yeah, some photos are better than others. I can show you. I don't know if I have pictures here, but I can show you pictures and say, oh, what do you think of this? And you go, oh, that sucks or that's bad or whatever. And I just be like, oh, okay, cool. But it's like, but it's for me, I know when I do my best and I know when I don't. The last 10 years, especially, I always tell people I don't care what anybody thinks. That makes sense.
That's the best way to live your life. Yeah. Do it for you. I did notice that beautiful Nirvana print behind you.
And Alice in Chains is the other one.
Oh, okay.
Is the green one is Alice in Chains.
Both incredible. Tara's son's favorite band at the moment.
Hold on a second. I don't know if this will work. We'll try. I can hold on. Soundgarden.
This is unreal.
So, George Michael. But yeah, no, you can see all these boxes behind me, all that over there. Those are all personal projects I've shot in the last 40 years. I would do personal projects, shoot a bunch of pictures, put them in a box, and they've been sitting there. I haven't looked at them in 20, 30 years. They've just been sitting there. They just throw stuff up there. So, you never know. Oh, here you go. Nirvana. I'm trying to get the lighting.
Incredible. That is
Nirvana.
That is so unreal to me, and I'm sure everyone else.
Chris Cornell. Does everybody like Chris Cornell and Soundgarden? I do. But yeah, it goes on and on and on. There's a million of them. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, this is amazing. I can't even.
Iggy Pop.
Oh, I had the chance to see him last year. That is insane.
Did you go?
Yeah, he played at Blues Fest in
That's
Byron Bay. Yeah.
No, he's great. You got to go. He's the best of the best. The nicest man you'll ever meet.
Really?
Yeah, he's my favorite. Somebody just asked me who my favorite subject ever to shoot was, and I have too many to count, but but he was one of them because the first time I met him was in New York City in 1993. The first time I met him, he called me up at my friend's place, and we went to dinner that night, and me and him in an Italian restaurant talking about Frank Sinatra the whole night. And the shoot, he was just the nicest man. He would please and thank you to everybody. and just a professional and amazing photos. Made me look good. That's another thing you have to add to the list. Be nice. Manners are everything to me. I don't like mean people. Nobody likes to work with assholes.
That is very true. Very,
Yeah.
very true.
All right. What?
Yeah.
More
Well,
questions.
that kind of went into the next one, which is
Uh-oh.
what is the most difficult and most rewarding part of being a photographer?
Difficult now or then? Now there's no money in it. Zero money in it. And after this pandemic, I think it's going to be even worse. And there's too many photographers as it is. There's a lot. Every time I turn around, somebody's got a camera or an iPhone and they're taken away. I think that for me, the hardest part has been just, when I was young, there was this photographer I doubt you've heard of. So in mid-70s, there was this photographer named Francesco Scavullo. He's a big famous fashion photographer at the time. And he basically took the same picture over and over, but just changed the color of the backdrop. And when I was young, I promised myself I would never do that. And then a few weeks later, I remember meeting this photographer who said to me, all you need is 3 tricks. Those 3 tricks can last you an entire career. And I went, fuck that. Like I'm going to have 3 tricks every week. Like the hardest part is just not getting bored and with myself. Like I've been doing this one project for a while now and I'm like done with it and I have to move on. And you just want to, I get fear of like being bored. I get fear of, oh, am I going to just phone it in and do the same thing over and over again? I get nervous about that. Like, it's like musicians who, have that one big hit record and they're like in their 30s. And the next thing you know, they play that same record over and over for the rest of their life, playing county fairs and festivals and just to play the same 3 hit songs I never want to be that. Like I feel sorry for my musician friends that are, they got millions of dollars more money than I'll ever see, but they're playing the same shit over and over again. They haven't done anything new in 20, 30 years. I can't imagine doing that. Like the thing I love now, and I said this on my birthday with a friend of mine, I just said, the thing I'm most proud of right now is that I'm doing the best work of my career right now. I haven't like tapered off or gone down or just mellowed out. I'm still going up and I'm doing the best work of my life right now. I'm doing some crazy shit too. And it's amazing and crazy. So to me, it's about that fear of just not, I don't want to do boring, never. It's not me. But the best part, I was going to just say this, the best part is like, honestly, is when I think about the life that I've lived, of the people I've met and the people I've shot and the things that I've done. And that just is amazing. Like I always tell people, I've been documenting my life since I was 10. And so, I can tell you, about shooting so-and-so and then like, here's the pictures. And then this time I did this and here's the pictures. And so before there was Twitter or Instagram, I was doing it. So does that help? I babble.
This is incredible.
Oh,
Chris, you're the coolest. You're the coolest.
No, I'm
Chris.
not.
In my opinion, you are.
I'm going to tell everybody you said that. And tomorrow you're going to get some messages from some of my friends going, don't tell them that shit. They like to keep me down.
Oh, okay. Well, not at MAD. At MAD, we always boost people up. So.
Here's Gwen Stefani.
Your repertoire is absolutely mind-blowing.
Rob Zombie. Do you guys know who Rob Zombie is? Do you like Tool, Maynard and Tool?
Yes. Again,
Michael Hutchence.
Tara's son would. Why isn't he here right now, Tara?
Michael Hutchence. Michael Hutchence. We love Michael Hutchence. Gwen Stefani again, no doubt. All right, what else? Sorry.
I don't ever apologize for showing you photos, please.
Oh God.
Well, so speaking of MAD,
yes.
At MAD this week, we have a different topic every week.
Okay.
Some are like networking and but this week is overcome. So my next question is, what is the biggest thing or something you have overcome? I know you were just talking about your difficulties, so.
Okay, so last time I talked to some MAD people a year or so ago, I think I was with Dom. And I've talked to some since, and I've had some great conversations with my main man, Mr. D Minor. Look, I mean, I grew up in a tough life. You know, I always tell people I divorced my family when I was 25 years old. I told them to fuck off. I was abused. I was told I was a loser and good for nothing my whole life. I still believe that to this day. I had to struggle. Just, you know, I was a weird kid, you know, like, you're weird. Why do you have these dreams? And I was just never nourished, never supported. The first time I printed my first photos in a dark room, I went home and my dad told me it was a joke. It was a waste of time. Go away. You know what that's like for a 10-year-old kid? It's not good. So it wasn't until I told my family to fuck off, and then I met my Terry, and Terry came into my life and changed everything. And that was why I try to do what she did for me, I do for others, is that sometimes our family is not the best, most healthiest environment to grow up in. So sometimes you have to look outside for that. It might take time. So I believe the things that I had to overcome was just this low self-esteem. You know, I thought I was good, but like kept on being told I wasn't. It was difficult at times. So when I moved to LA, I was struggling in the beginning because I moved here with $1,000 in my pocket and I didn't know anybody. I don't even know how I survived. So meeting people, meeting Terry was the first thing that changed my life. Well, meeting Jack first and then her. So having that support and that love, not being told they loved me every day, but they showed it to me. And that's what built me up and built me up. And then that was believing in my work. Having somebody, when I showed them a photo, would go, that's great. So that was the hardest thing in the beginning. Then the hardest part for me, hard part for me was just, I'm too nice. I'm a codependent. I want everybody else to be happy but me. So to this day, I'm still this way. I just want everybody to be happy. I don't care about Chris. I'm the last on the list. So I had to learn how to not to do that, not to give everything away, and not be desperate for people to like me, because I was so desperate when I was younger. I want everybody to like me. Now I don't care if anybody likes me because I got too many friends as it is and they're all annoying. But the difference now is just that I know all this. I went to therapy for years. I read books. I studied. Again, I did the work. Terry would say, do the work. I would talk about emotional things. She goes, do the work. And I would dig deep. Why am I feeling that way? And you take the process. I enjoy the process of learning and learning and learning. I know why I do what I do. I know why I do it. I know it all now. I'm at that point now. I'm the best Chris I've ever been because I did the work. And so for me, it's always been that way about doing the work on any level on anything. Business, you got to do the work. How do you start a business? What do you do in the business? So to me, it's really important. And I used to this day, I'll do anything for free. I'm easy. I talk tough, but I can be talked into anything pretty much. Anybody who needs my help, I'm there. It's just how I do things. But I think what you got to do is, you just have to do the work on every level, whether it's to take care of your life, yourself, to create, maybe your family isn't the perfect little family, but it doesn't mean you can't make your own family. I have my big brother, Jack. I have my mom was Terry. I have, like, not even lying. My interns used to laugh at me because I got literally 100 best friends. People are like, Chris, you're only supposed to have one best friend. I go, no, that's my best friend. That's my best friend. I have hundreds, and they all take care of me. They all keep an eye on me and keep me in check. And I love them. And everything I do is about love. And the more you love, the more you win. Does that help? I don't even know what I'm saying.
I'm just so glad that you support MAD and that
any day of the week.
Because honestly, I think that's what MAD is all about, is just building everyone who's a part of it up, and they're always there to support.
Right, but it's dumb, but that stupid hashtag, I laugh at it, but I think it's great. It was, teamwork makes the dream work. It's true. When you work on a set, I always tell people when I talk to photographers and people about this, being a photographer, I can take pictures all by myself all I want all the day, but that's not the kind of work I do. I have to have a makeup artist and a hairstylist and a stylist and an assistant. And sometimes I have 5 assistants, and you got a subject and you got a crazy band. You got a subject that's not in a good mood. And then you got a publicist that's, trying to speed things up, whatever you got. So to me, it's always about, like, you have to have this team, and we all have to have each other's back because it's going to make the day go easier. So I learned early on, if I got Bella Hadid, right? And I got the best makeup and hair people and the best stylists and the best everything, the best lighting, and handed the camera to anybody in this conversation, they could point the camera at her and take great pictures because it's Bella Hadid and she's done it. So I learned early on was that if you surround yourself with the best, you're the best. If you surround yourself with winners, you're a winner. If you hang around a bunch of losers, guess what? You're a loser. So I've always tried to surround myself with great people and amazing people. And I learned that when I started directing, you know, doing my first music video with Pearl Jam in 1991 people were like, oh my God, that's so smart. I said, yeah, I'm not stupid. I just get the best band and the best artist. And if you surround yourself with these great people, and I know MMAD does that, you get great people and you collaborate. It's not always about the thing you're working on. You know, it's about the tools that you're gaining from the work. I'll tell you a dumb story. One of my best friends, who I'm actually seeing on Tuesday, she didn't finish high school. Her dad died when she was in junior high. She started high school and she never finished. And since that time, she's in her early 30s now. She had a really tough life. And her mother died about months before I met her, and I've known her now for 6 years. She's had a really tough life. And I've been there for her from day one. And I've watched her grow and evolve. And one of the things I would yell at her all the time, do the work, do the work. And she wanted to go back to school. And last year she went back to school and she took one English class at a junior college. And I said, I knew it was going to happen because I know, but I just wanted to see her. So she takes this class, and 3 weeks into the class, she's told there's a test, and she hasn't had a test in 20 some odd years. Right. So she's freaking out. I'm like, just do the work, just study, do the work. Week later, she comes over, she tells me she got an A+, and we're crying, and I'm sobbing like a baby. And I'm telling her, I don't care about the test. I don't care about the English. I don't even give a fuck about what you learned. What you learned was if you do the work, you get the results. You can't, you know, every hardworking musician, photographer, actor, you sit around at home watching TV all day, nothing's going to happen. You have to go out and make shit happen. So she learned. And she says to me after, and to this day, she's like, I learned, I just got to do the work. And I just pounded into her head. That's all you have to do and you get great results. You can't sit there and stare at your camera sitting on your desk thinking it's going to take pictures by itself. You have to get out and do it, and make mistakes and fuck up and screw up and erase a card and do whatever. It's the only way you're going to learn. You know, life is about experience, and the only way you get experience is by living. It's that simple.
Well, we've got about 9 minutes, 10 minutes remaining.
You got me up past my bedtime, so we're not ending until I say we're ending.
Okay, well, I'm very happy with that.
Everybody else is like, it's almost 10 o'clock here, people.
Well,
past my bedtime.
Formally, we have about 9 minutes. But,
okay.
I will stay here all night. No.
Okay.
So I've got another question for you.
Shoot.
Before you were saying that your favorite thing is the process of photos. So what is your process, say, like entering a shoot and during post, like planning, what software, what is your process?
Okay. So first rule is I have tons of rules and stupid things. My first number one rule is keep it simple. My favorite photographer since I was 10 is a photographer named Richard Avedon. Go look at his work. And then you look at his work and then you look at my work and you go, oh, Chris ripped him off. And yes, I admit it, I have. But it's all about keeping things simple. With my cameras these days, I have like one digital camera that I use. That's it. You know, like I'm not into crazy things. And back in the day, even with big shoots with 5, 10 assistants, you'd have lights and sets. I hated that shit. If you can't get something done with one light, then what the hell are you doing? So I've always kept things simple. My process is like, come up with some ideas. I scribble down notes. Always have notes with me at every shoot, because sometimes you get caught up in the shoot. You might forget about something you were thinking about. Like, oh, I want to cover this person in blood. I might have forgot about that. And then I can't do that. I won't remember. So it's always about preparation. It's all about pre-production and preparing, so that when the time comes, I can act like an idiot and not really, and then I can have my fun. So I don't really worry, you know, I always stress. My assistants always laugh. They're like, you know, people, if you came to my shoot, you're like, does Chris really know what he's doing? And that's because I prepare way ahead of time so I can not stress. But the other thing is that when I shoot, it's always about getting people to relax, getting your subject to relax. So what I usually do, my technique is to get people not to think about shooting. So most people hate having their picture taken, and nobody hates it more than me. So you say you're going to shoot Gwen Stefani. You know, she walks in the studio. She's done it a million times. That's great, but not a lot of people have. So when you're shooting some band or some artist that hasn't done a lot of photo shoots, so they're going to get nervous about it. So you start talking about other things. My favorite thing to talk about is music. So everybody I've ever shot, I've asked them the same question: what was your first concert? And so I've gotten a million answers to that. Everything from Kiss to Nirvana to the Beatles to Elvis Presley to everything in between. So that's a great, I always tell the great opening line for all the guys out there, perfect opening line to meet a girl. What's your favorite first concert? That works every time. But to sit there and just get people to relax and have fun. If you're the leader, so if you're having fun and laughing and not stressing and not worried about the lights have fallen over, or somebody's dying, whatever, somebody's strung out on heroin, which I've been there, you just have fun and get that energy there. And then just make sure that everybody has a good time. And then don't take up a lot of time. If you know what you're doing, you get your shot done and then get it done and move on. As I always like to say to everybody I've ever shot, you have something better to do. I have something better to do. So let's get this shit done fast so we can go do what we really want to do. You know, last time I shot Chris Cornell in Soundgarden, like 20 some odd years ago, I yelled at him at the shoot. I shot him like 7 or 8 times. And the last one I just said to him, like, he wasn't cooperating. And I just said, dude, you know what's more difficult than doing a photo shoot? And he says, what? I go, being the photographer has to shoot your ass. I said, quit thinking about just yourself. Shut up, get in front of the camera, and let me do this. I want to go home. And he's looking at me, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, yeah, it's like, so dealing with celebrities and rock stars, you always kind of have to do things quick because they don't have all time. They're not going to give you a lot of time. I would say if you get 15 minutes, that's a lot of time. So you better know what you want before you get there. So then afterwards, I do everything digitally. I'm a Mac person. I have 7 Macs in my house now. That I do different things on because I do a lot of video these days. And then I have, you know, I shoot with a Hasselblad, my camera. I'm trying to think of the technical stuff. And then I'm a Photoshop guy, and my workflow, as they call it, is really simple. I'm sure there's a lot of things I don't know about Photoshop nowadays because the last time when I started using it was like version 5.0, and basically that's all I do. But you got to learn. I mean, it's like you got to learn, do your thing, learn. And you'll be fine. But shoot as much as you can.
Just get out there, do the work.
Yeah, do portraits. Do a series of portraits of your family. Do a series of portraits of your friends. Come up with something simple. Put up a white seamless outside against the wall and shoot them outside with daylight. And just go crazy. So like a dumb story. Like my best friend Jack. He's my brother for 40 years now. He's gay. And he just told me last week, he goes, I want you to shoot some male nudes. And I'm like, no. And he goes, I want you to shoot some male. I'm like, no. And then like 10 minutes later, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll go shoot some male nudes. Because I thought, like, why not? I haven't done it in a long time. So I was like, He always makes me do that. He's crazy. But it's like doing that thing, doing something that makes you feel I don't feel good doing this, but I'm going to do it. And I'm going to, make it happen. So it's doing stuff like that, just pushing yourself. I mean, that's how I've done most of my stuff, is like, just pushing like all this stuff you see, like shooting Nirvana. I didn't get paid for that. That was me having fun with Nirvana, hanging out with Nirvana for a day.
That's like the coolest sentence I think I've ever heard. Like,
so, but I'm just saying, is like, you have to shoot and you got to get out there and you got to like, and if you saw what I worked on today, so, cause I've been shooting so long and I'm starting this. So tomorrow I announced this new big sale I'm doing, but I'm just peppering in. I do this thing called hidden gems. I find images, I go through my vault where all my negatives are, and I pull folders and I pull the film out, and and I find these images. So today I worked on like 100 images of random images of, shoots with Brad Pitt and Paul Rudd and Chris Farley and all. I found these amazing pictures. I surprise myself sometimes. I don't remember taking these pictures, but they're really good. Or I don't, it's like, I shot. I can't believe how much I shot. Like, you should see what my vault looks like after, it's like 40 some odd years of negatives in that vault. So you just find, I don't know. It blows my mind what I've done sometimes.
It blows all of our minds too. I can assure you that. So we've got, the time is running out. Official time is running out. So one thing we always do on our Monday masterclasses is what is one thing you could give us to take away? And I'm assuming it's pretty much everything you've just said.
Do the work. Everybody do the work. Don't be, that's one thing I yell at all my Australian friends, and they all hate me. They all think I'm annoying, especially my friends in Melbourne. They all, how slow Melbourne is and how slow Australia is. I've said this for years. I've been going to Australia for 30 years. I just did my 15th trip there. And my friends right now, we're talking about me moving there, which I'm warning you guys all. If I move there, you're all in trouble. But my thing about Australia is I always say to people, if New York City is going 100 miles an hour, LA is going 75 and Sydney's going 50. And Melbourne's going like 35 on a good day. But it's just slower way of I go down there and I've been going there forever and I have my family down there basically. And they all say, I'm there to make shit happen. I don't wait for nothing. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's being an American. I don't know. But down there, everybody has a tendency just let's just wait. No worries, mate. We'll go to the beach and we'll wait for it to happen. And I'm like, what are you waiting for? I'm going to go do an exhibition. I'm going to put it in my living room if I have to. I don't care. Let's put on a show. Let's play concerts. Let's take your guitar, go sit at the Bondi Junction and playing for people. I don't care. You just go out and make shit happen. And my friends in Australia, my best mates, I swear to God, I love them all. They love me, but I just yell at them all the time. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? What exactly are you waiting for? Because I don't get it. So make shit happen. Because one day you're going to wake up and you're going to be 30 and then you're going to be 40 and you're going to be 50 and you're going to be what the fuck just happened? Where did it all go? Because it goes by fast. I still can't believe I turned 60 this year. It feels like yesterday I was in my Honda driving to LA when I was 21 going, I'm going to LA. I'm going to be a photographer. It seems like yesterday. It feels like yesterday and it wasn't, so you have to get out, make shit happen, do the work. On everything in life. And you'd be surprised. I laugh about, because I've been around, why, I've been around the big stars back in the more now. I've been around Lady Gaga, but I know that girl works her ass off. Do you know what I mean? I've been around all the bands, Nirvana, Soundgarden. Yeah, it was all fun and games on stage, but off stage, these guys work. Everybody's working. When you perform, that's only 5% of your job. When I take pictures, that's 5% of my job. The other 95% is the real work, pre-production, post-production, meetings, bullshit. So you got to do the work. If you don't do the work, you ain't going to get shit. I'll tell you that right now. And you'll be sitting there just going, fuck Chris, he didn't know what he was talking about. Unless you're, I don't know. I just feel like you got to do the work on every level. And next thing you know, you're rich and famous and you'll forget me like everybody else.
Never.
That's what they do. Everybody I shoot goes on to fame and fortune and then they forget me. It's kind of a ritual for the last 40 years. I'm sure
they'll never forget. They'll just look back, and those days when they look back, they're like.
Well, what's funny now is that because I've been doing this a long time, and people know I've gotten my people know who 10 years ago nobody knew who I was, and I liked it that way. But now I'm getting people to know who I am is my number one priority. But I find funny now is when I think yesterday or the day before I posted some pictures of Brooke Burke on my Instagram feed and she reached out and I hadn't talked to her in 20 years. And she reached out and sent me a message and I laughed because it's I've shot so many people through the years before they were, big stars or when they were just starting out. Everybody from Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt hung out at my apartment and I've shot in the alley behind my apartment here years ago. We just hung, years before he was anybody. And so it's all that kind of stuff. All those people through the years. I always tell people I can't watch TV without saying, shot him, met him, shot him, it's weird. It's really weird sometimes. And a lot of people I shot died, which is sad. Another one just died the other day. I forget who, somebody did. Every time somebody dies, my friends always ask me, did you shoot them? I'm like, no, nothing to do with it. I'm innocent. So it's weird. Here's a crazy example. This story just popped in my head. Mm-hmm. So what is this, May? I guess last April, I think it was. Yeah, last April I was in Sydney. Had an exhibition, grunge exhibition there in Sydney. And so one day I wake up and the actor Luke Perry died. Do you remember him? Luke Perry from 90210. He died and I got messages from all my friends back at home. So did you shoot Luke? And I'm like, hell no, I had nothing to do with that. Didn't shoot him. He's died on his own, nothing. And then a couple hours later, stupid Keith from Prodigy killed himself. And then everybody's right. Did you do Keith? Yeah, I shot Keith. Shit. I thought I had one day where it wasn't going to happen. So it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing. It's like, oh, great. So crazy life. What else? Anything else? Are we done? You went to really dirty stories, all the crazy stuff?
I do have more questions, and I could talk to you and listen to you for hours, but what do you think, Emerald? I'm not sure if she wants to click on.
Well, it's up to Chris, really, how much more he wants to stick around for. We normally finish with an open section where anybody can ask their questions. We've already got a few coming in on the chat as we've been talking. I see Blake has one. How many questions do you have left, Gabro?
I had one from me. I had one that Tara sent me earlier, so about 2. But she can ask it for herself.
Chris, how do you feel about doing a quick fire round where we?
Let's go. I can go for another 30 minutes easily. So yeah, 20-30 minutes is fine. Let it go. Let it rip.
Cool.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Tara, did you want to share that one you sent me? You're muted before you start speaking. Just letting you know.
Hey, cool. Am I still muted?
No,
nope.
good.
I can hear
cool.
you.
I can't hear me. It's really weird. Hi, Chris. Thank you. That's been amazing.
Thank you.
So my question relates to artists that you shoot, and I'm just, and you've covered it largely in what makes them easy to shoot. But are there any characteristics that you've seen within artists as you've seen them come through that makes that you could sort of say this artist is more or these characteristics are endearing or what's the word to
special
to success,
okay.
know, and that like how somebody can look at you see people look at something and go, oh, I always could tell that they were going to do something with themselves.
Okay, there's an answer for this one. So basically the way I've said it for years is certain artists, musicians, artists, people have what I call the it factor. You can't explain it. You can't write it out, whatever. They just have it. When I met, my example always is when I met and shot Michael Hutchence. I met him in 88. I went to shoot In Excess in 88 and just met him. And I was in the dressing room with just me and him talking because we had mutual friends. And I just remember just going like, dude, who are you? Right? You know, and then years later, I got to shoot him solo, the exhibition I just had in Sydney. And same thing, when shooting him, he just has the it factor. Fiona Apple's another one. They have the it factor. Kurt Cobain, Eddie Vedder. They just have this thing. I always say to everybody, I know I don't have it, and we'll never have it, but my job is to capture it. So that's all I would go after is like, this person's special. I don't know what it is, but they have it. They have it, you know, and they just do. Some people have it, and some people, I remember, you know, Fiona was the first one that really blew me away because I'm a huge fan of hers. But at the time, I was the second photo shoot she'd ever done. And I just remember how nervous and scared she was and how broken she kind of was. But by the end of the day, that just worked. It was like, it was her. And it was amazing. And if you look at the photos, you're just like, there's so much honesty and real in her eyes. And you're just like, holy shit. And there's artists that are like that. You know, trying to think of other people that just really, like Iggy Pop, you know, he walks in the room, it's Iggy Pop. Doesn't matter, he can do whatever. I have a picture I took of him that I love. He's in his underwear in a bathrobe, just sitting on the floor. And you're like, that's not a good fit. But you look at it, it's Iggy Pop sitting in his underwear. It's like, oh my God. But you know, certain people just have it. Some actors that I've met and had shot through the years, Brad was one of them, but like certain actors that you would meet, you'd think, oh, it's like they're nobody, you know, just actors. I hate actors anyways. They're annoying, but all of a sudden you meet them and you're like, oh my God, they're really, really special. And they have certain qualities I know I'll never have. So I call it the it factor, and some people have it and some people don't. And when I shoot new talent, because that's what I'd like to do these days, I shoot as much new talent as possible. I love when I can shoot them and see, ooh, they have it. Like this band, The Riot, that I shot, I forget the lead singer's JD, I think. He just has it. It scares me. And another artist I shot in Sydney. All of a sudden, I can't remember her name. She's going to kill me. Aya A's or something like that. She goes by, and she's got it factor. So some people have it, some people don't.
Yeah. And being able to capture it as a gift
And
on your part, I must say.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I tell people like, I learned early on because of my hero photographer, Richard Avedon. He would talk about capturing and how I watched, videos on him. I studied his work like since I was 10, and I saw what he would do. And, when I was 10 years old, I saw the movie Funny Face with Fred Astaire and Audrey Hepburn. And that's really kind of where I thought that's where the first idea of being a photographer came in, because Fred Astaire played a photographer. So I was like, oh my God, I want to do that. I want to meet Audrey Hepburn.
So do you tap dance too?
Huh?
Do you dance too?
70s disco, yes.
Yeah. Same.
I can do the hustle. That I know. And the Latin hustle. Anything else?
Jasmine, did you have a question? And Michael?
Yeah, I had a question.
Shoot.
All right. So my name is Michael. I've really appreciated everything that you've been teaching us, Chris.
Oh, hope so.
My question is, I have a project coming out soon, and I would really love you to hear it. And I was wondering, you've mentioned about your email address, and I was wondering, how can I keep in touch with you so you could give it a listen and you can give me honest feedback?
Sure. I love that. So my email address for everybody is, the best one is Cuffaro Photo, CUFFARO, simple, my last name, photo, @mac.com. You can also find my email addresses or whatever if you don't, on my websites. I have freaking 5 websites right now, working on number 6. But yeah, I like to hear new music. And what I tell especially musicians these days, and all the guys that I met in Sydney in this last trip, I'm going to tell you what I tell everybody. Just remember one thing about the music world. It's not the music business. It's the business of music. And business is always first. I'm not in the photography business. I'm in the business of photography. There's a lot of people out that are more talented than me, you, and everybody else, but they can't handle their business, so they're not around anymore. So you have to always, and if you don't understand, like example, this friend of mine in Sam Sly in Sydney, who I'm kind of helping out. She's a brilliant singer-songwriter. She emailed me a couple of weeks ago asking me about publishing and how to do publishing and all that stuff. And I just luckily pointed her to the direction of a friend of mine that's A&R at Universal, and connected them and said, you guys should talk. And so hopefully they're taking care of it. But you have to learn, how the business side of it, especially these days, because music is content, and just like photography is content, and you're making content, and you got to protect yourself. So, be careful. Just be careful. But send me stuff. I'll give you my honest opinion.
Sure thing.
And definitely, give me a little background when you send it to me, to like a little bit of what you're doing and what's going on. And then when you're ready, I'll come to Sydney and I'll shoot your album cover.
Oh, sure thing.
For free.
So it was cuffarophoto@mac.com.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you very much, Chris. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, good. All good.
And I'm sure you can reach out to anyone at MAD too, Michael. I'm sure that they've got all the contacts.
Dom knows how to find me.
Yeah. So Jazz, did you want to share yours?
I've always had a huge interest in maybe doing music photography. I did photography all throughout high school, and I just had such a love for it straight away. And I always had heaps of interest in film photography and darkroom and everything. I was curious if you still did any of that, or if it's a lost cause nowadays.
Well, I haven't shot film in almost 15 years now. I don't like shooting film. It's just a waste of time.
Yeah.
It's just not fun. I don't like smelling like chemicals anymore. Out of high school, I worked in a color darkroom for 3 years, and then a black and white darkroom after that for 3 years. And when I got out, I was like, I'm never going to a darkroom again. And
me with paint cup.
But it's that kind of thing where, I tell everybody, if you want to do photography to make a living, forget about it. It's not possible anymore.
Yeah.
Really
that's what I figured. So.
But to do it because you love it and you want to have fun and can do it on the side because you enjoy it, that's what I tell everybody to do. Like, that's what I do. I haven't done a paying job in 4 years. Not that I'm looking for them, but it's not my thing. I don't run it as my business right now. I'm directing more, and I'm trying to actually do a TV show right now. I'm working on a script. But to me, you can always shoot, and you can always create, and you can always have fun, and you can always learn, because sometimes you learn things by doing it that you can apply to other things. And also, you learn about photography. Next thing you know, you're going, hey, Chris, you know what? I'm going to write a script about a TV show, and then I'm going to direct, and I'm going to create, and I'm going to go to film school. And I've seen it happen a million times, it opens doors to other things. You never know. I just yeah, it does. I just don't, again, I'm all about making shit happen. I'm not going to wait for anyone. I just don't. And I would tell you, like, go out and do it, shoot, do this, do that, shoot I don't care if you spend the rest of the year taking pictures of your feet in the sand, do it. Just whatever, just shoot. My motto used to be shoot first, edit later. It kind of still is. So get out and create, just create.
And another question.
Mm-hmm.
I know that concert photographers are still a thing. What's the best way to kind of get into that sort of thing? If you had any clue.
Yeah, I don't know any.
You said you did a bit of it in the past.
Right. I don't know how. Sorry, I'm gonna turn that off. Oh, it's too bright. I don't know how to. These days, I used to just hustle by, like, you ask, you go to the concert. Sometimes you just say, hey, I don't have a pass. Can I take some pictures? You just got to be nice and polite and sweet talk your way in. I used to just talk a lot of shit to get in. But the number one rule I would tell you is that it's always be polite and nice, because, how many times have I, been in the pit at a concert, and then, people falling on top of me trying to kill me. And, security guy, I was nice to the security guy, so he's protecting me. And so just be nice. And you gotta hustle. You gotta just, like, if a concert's coming into town, and find out who the publicist is. And then you email the publicist and say, hey, who do I talk to about getting passes to shoot at the show? And I don't know how back in my day, they used to only let people shoot the first 3 songs, and then they kick you out. So I don't know if they do.
I think that's still how it is, because my mum won a competition to do it, and they got kicked out after 3 songs.
Yeah. I used to.
Still sounds like some experience.
Yeah, I used to not. Luckily, I wasn't one of the guys that get kicked out. I always got to stay, so it made me happy. Okay. And that's when you get the best pictures, when the band's actually been playing for a while. But I just think you just gotta hustle. And this day and age, I think you find out. You find the band that you like. You find out, get their Instagram, send them a direct message, and say, hey, how do I shoot? Like, example, one of the girls I mentor, her name's Ivy. She lives in New York. She's a 21-year-old, just graduated a couple weeks ago from college, and she wants to be a photographer, filmmaker. And I've been mentoring her for almost 2 years. She's a big fan of the band called the Pink Slips, which is Duff McKagan's daughter's band. And she just asked me a couple weeks ago, she goes, do you think it's okay if I send them a message? Because I want to do a video for them. And her and her girlfriend were like, and I said, why wouldn't you? Just email them, see what happens. Send them a direct message.
Worst they can say is no.
Yeah, who cares? Yeah. So she did, and they responded, and they're going to send her some songs for her to listen to, and then let her do a video. So I thought, there you go. So there's an old, the day before I moved to Los Angeles, way back in the 81, my boss, that I was quitting the job and leaving, my boss gave me the best advice, best quote ever, best advice ever. And that's 40 years ago, basically. And he gave me the best quote that I live by. Every no brings you closer to a yes.
Yeah.
And my whole life, all these years later, as I'm saying goodbye to him and knowing I'm never going to see this man again, he just goes, Chris, don't forget, every no brings you closer. And my whole life, all the no's, I've heard 10 times more no's than I've ever heard yeses. And just hearing those no's, always said to, oh, I'm getting close. I'm getting close. And so you just always, I always tell, I'll always ask. I just asked a friend for $3 million. And he just went, what? I go, give me $3 million and I'll go away. And he just laughed and said, okay, cool. We'll talk later. I said, okay, cool. So you just ask, you get out and ask. It doesn't hurt. And just, you got to hustle.
is that kind of like the stepping stone pathway to doing like actual shoots and building up portfolios and kind of stuff like that?
Yes, kind of, yes. But you can also don't have to shoot concerts. You can always just contact the bands. I mean, I know there's a lot of music artists in Melbourne, and there's a lot of, kind of in Sydney and stuff, but you just find people that are musicians and you say, hey, can I do a photo shoot with you? You're new, I'm new. Let me practice on you. I used to practice on my friends and new lighting techniques, what they call testing, where you get a model and you test your lighting and you just test. You got to practice. To this day, I still test, practice. I'm doing a test on Tuesday with my friend and, shooting her because we're going to try something. She needs some pictures. I said, I need some practice. And so we're going to shoot probably with masks on, but it'll be, be interesting. Yeah, so practice makes improvement.
Definitely. Thanks for all your wisdom that you've shared with us today.
And just email me anytime. Show me pictures you're doing. Who's next?
I think Sam had one before.
Go ahead, Sam. Can't hear you.
Sam, you're on mute, Sam. And then Michael and Emerald, I believe.
Okay.
You know how you said you were hanging out with, Nirvana and stuff? Was he like playing his guitar and you get to see like his song before like everybody else did, or
I'll tell you a funny story about Nirvana. One of my favorite stories.
Yeah.
So I'm up in Seattle. This is my first shoot with Nirvana. I was a big fan of Nirvana before anybody knew who they were, because I was a big Seattle fan for probably since '89. I'm up in Seattle to shoot another band, and I had a day off. So I contacted Nirvana's manager and I said, hey, can I shoot the band? And he's like, yeah, they have a new drummer. I go, really? What happened to the old drummer? They got a new drummer. His name's Dave. And I said, okay, cool. So it was the first photo shoot with Dave Grohl in the band. And I said, cool, let's do this. So they end up meeting me at this cafe, and they're hungover as fuck, like just a mess, a wreck. They had partied all night long and they were a wreck. And I'm like, you guys look like death. Let's get some food in you so you look a little healthier and we can do the photo shoot. So I fed them, took care of them. They had no money. I gave them money for gas afterwards. I just took care of them. And then it was like, we're going to start working on a new record because Dave's in the band now. And I'm like, I was like, okay, whatever. I don't care. It's like, so fast forward months later, I think it was before Nevermind came out. I'm with Soundgarden and Chris Cornell, and the manager of Nirvana gave me an advance cassette of Nevermind. He said, here's the new record. It's coming out in a month. You got to check it out. Tell us what you think. And I'm like, whatever, Nirvana, whatever. So I drive out to the desert to see the band in Soundgarden. We're hanging out and we're playing this cassette in my car with the doors open and just playing the tape through the whole day. And Chris and I and everybody, this Kim, we're all just sitting there shaking our heads. Holy fuck, what the fuck? Like, we're like, fuck. Every song, come as you are. We're just, and I'm like, this is going to blow up. This is going to be huge. And I said to the manager, I go, dude, this is going to sell like 10 million records. He goes, we'll be happy if it sells 1 million records. And I think it sold 15. So it was amazing to sit there and see. As I tell people, in 1991, I had more friends become millionaires than I'll ever see in my lifetime. In 1 year, I had my friend Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, Nirvana, all became millionaires. Chris Novoselic, I saw him one time and I had to give him $20 and, to get him some food. And then months and months later, after Nevermind was out, Chris says to me, hey, guess what, Cuffaro, I'm buying a house. I said, congrats. All you have to do now is worry about the mortgage. And he goes, we pay cash for the whole thing. It's like, whatever. And then Kurt says to me, it's really weird, Chris, when you pull out $20 out of your ATM machine and your balance is 50,000. Like, I have no idea what that's like, Kurt, but it must be difficult. Like, are you kidding me? My balance is like $100, not 50,000. It's ridiculous. So weird things like that were weird at the time. But they all became millionaires, though. It's crazy.
That is, oh my Lord, that is the coolest story.
And then it's just, there was the good of that time. There was so many great, musically it was amazing. Like I saw so many great shows. It's ridiculous. Musically, it was phenomenal. Like first Lollapalooza with Jane's Addiction and 9 Inch Nails and Rollins, and it was just like crazy. then there's this like, you know, the up of it all. And then there was the downside when, you know, when people started dying, and that's when things got really sad. You know, when you know, Lane's girlfriend, who was a sweetheart, she died, then he died, then Mike. It was just like it got stupid. It was just like, really, come on, God damn it, you know? And that's got tough. That got tough for a while. And then, like, you know, when Chris died, a couple years ago, that just broke my heart. People like that should still be alive.
Definitely.
Any more questions?
I think Emerald had one.
Go ahead.
Hey, Chris.
Yes.
I'm keen to hear your thoughts on the best way forward in this industry, considering that you've said that it is not not easy to make money in the industry, and we're all in lockdown, and also with a landscape where social media content is king. So it's interesting to hear about your side projects, the hidden gems, and that you're writing scripts. And it makes me wonder, do you think that the skill of being a storyteller is the most important thing for us to be developing, and finding more diverse ways to be telling that story if it's not through photography?
Yeah. Well, the business, you know, my young assistants and photographers that I know that shoot, you know, I wonder what it's going to be like for them now. It was, you know, the rates were already low as it was, but now, you know, a lot of them would shoot what they call e-commerce type of stuff. You know, there's a small percentage of photographers that do the, you know, the cream of the crop jobs that pay somewhat real money. But there's no more real money in it anymore. Even look at like the famous photographers like Annie Leibovitz or Stephen Meisel. These guys don't make the money they once used. Annie Leibovitz used to get $100,000 a day. In 1991, my day rate to shoot an album cover was $20,000 a day, plus expenses. My fee was $20K a day to shoot an album cover. And now I'd be lucky if I get $200 on a good day. And I haven't, you know, that the money just isn't there anymore, because back in the day, every time a band put out an album, they would do an album cover shoot and a publicity shoot and an international publicity shoot, and that was it. Now everybody shoots their own pics, and you know, they have friends that take pictures. We call them FWCs, friends with cameras. So, you know, and then you know, there was GWCs back in the day too. Those were groupies with cameras. Those are the worst ones. I would lose jobs to those girls because they would sleep with the guitar player and I wouldn't, and they get the job. So, no, but it was just, it's different now. So that's why I say, you know, photography gives me this skill that I use, you know, producing, directing, creating, you know, I build websites. I can do anything basically that I need to do and design my own stuff. Everything that you see of me is designed by me because I've been designing for years, my catalogs, my books, everything I do in my exhibitions, I do it all myself. I don't need anybody. And I think what you do is you can take photography, yeah, and you can make $1 here and $1 there, but you can use that to do other things. Learn how to do editing, learn how to, you know, get into video, because everybody wants videos made nowadays, YouTube. Start your own podcast show. That doesn't take much to do. You know, all you need is a microphone and you know, 2 microphones and a recorder, and you just do your own podcast show. Just do stuff. But also, you know, the question I ask the January of every year, I sit with my best friend, Jason, and I sit down and ask him the same question. How do I make revenue in today's world? And we just shake our head and go, I don't know. It's tough. It is really, really tough. And you know, the fees in Australia are even lower than they are here. So it's really, really tough. But there's ways. If you get creative and create your own business, and, you know, you turn around and try to shoot things, you know, or, you know, get jobs other places, like I worked in labs, or go be an assistant to a photographer, or just learn however you got to learn. Being a photographer, when I was young, I used to tell people that my parents always said to me, when are you going to retire? There is no retirement when you're an artist. I'm going to shoot till I drop, till I'm dead, you know? And I always tell people, when you find out that I died, just ask the first question you need to ask is not how I died. Just say, when was the last time you took pictures? Because that's really what I'm going to do it till the end. I'm going to do it till I can't do it anymore. And there's no retirement. There's no job. It's not a job to me. It's never been a job. It's not a career even. It's just my life. That's all it is. It's my life. And now like I said, I'm directing. I spent the last 10 years getting ready for these next 10 years. And my next 10 years is all about directing and creating. I have a TV show I'm trying to put together with a friend of mine. We'll see. Maybe I'll be on Netflix in a year or so. I don't know. But just using my talents, my creativity, and my passion, and put it where I can. Does that make sense? But you know, it's tough. There's a lesson I learned the day I moved to LA, and it's for Hollywood mainly, but it works everywhere these days. It's not what you shoot, it's who you shoot. You can take the greatest pictures of a bunch of nobodies or a bunch of shitty pictures of a bunch of somebodies, and I guarantee people will react to the somebodies because ooh, that's George Michael. Ooh, that's George Harrison. Ooh, that's Michael Hutchence. They don't look at my photography. They just look at who it's of. So it's important. And then stupid Hollywood rule number one in Hollywood, it's not, besides not what you know, it's you know, it was always, it's not what you know, it's who you know, and it's not who you know, it's who you blow. So my boss always said, if you're going to blow somebody, make sure it's somebody worth blowing. And I'm like, no, you know, so it was crazy. You know, it was crazy. And what's the hip hop rule number one? It's better to look good than to be good. So I chose to be good. Does that make sense?
Great, thank you.
So Tara had another question. She said she's really sorry. She just couldn't hear herself talking, so it was quite distracting. So Tara would like to ask, how you think artists can compensate their photographers if not paying for the shoot? Maybe commission on merch, you know, that uses their photos, or
if Tara knows how to do this, Tara, you could work for me. I'll give you all my photos. I don't know. You know, I have a syndication company I signed with a year ago. I'm trying to get them to help me out on things. I don't really have the answer anymore because I really don't. The business is so different, and there's so much, and you have to keep track, and that's why like it's sad to me because like you have to work so hard for so little. You know, what stops me from doing business these days is because I ask the simple question: is the juice worth the squeeze? And you kind of just go, no, it's not. And so why bother? I'll make more money if I just sit at home and watch TV all day long as if I go outside, it costs me money. So it's difficult. I just, you know, that's why I say to everybody, if you're doing it, you do it because you love it. And you're doing it because you have to do it. Like I always say, I don't explain it. I just have to do it. If I don't, I'm dead. So I think that's what you got to kind of do is and trying to figure out how to make money. There's all sorts of ways, I guess, but you just have to figure out how that's going to happen. If that makes, I don't know how you can do that.
Mine's more from an artist's perspective, and it's just tough watching photographers support the artists when the artists are making their way up. Then you see the artists go off and do something great.
Oh.
And the photographer's still sitting.
Do you know how many times, as I like to say, this is another one of my dumb cliches. If all the favors and things that I did for everybody for the last 40 years, if I got back what they all said I would get back, hey, Chris, if you shoot our band for free, we'll get you when we sign the label deal. Or if I did everything that was promised to you, I'd be sitting on my yacht right now in the south of France with a couple hot fashion models, and I'd be having this conversation there. So many times, hey, Chris, if you shoot us for free, we'll get you. And then they go sell 15 million records, and you're like, excuse me, what about me? Hello. And they just forget you. And so when I was younger, it hurt, and I got, was codependent. So my pattern was, I'll help you, but I want something, my expectations for something in return never got satisfied. So then resentment builds in, and then I hate you. And then, I can't trust you, and go fuck yourself, and I'm not going to help you again. And that pattern just was. Now I tell everybody in my life, all the people I shot in Sydney, people I shoot in Melbourne, everywhere I go, I want two things from you. That's it. Thank you. That's it. Nice. I don't want anything from anybody except thank you. It's all I need. It's all I care. I tell people all the time, if you can just show your manners, be nice, be grateful, that's good for me. I know you can't afford me, so why bother trying? So I don't, like people call me up to do a shoot, and I'll be like, do you have any money? No. I go, then why waste our time talking about it? So let's just shoot, so it's hard. I don't even know what the answer is to how to make money in it anymore, because I really don't know. It's hard. And, I don't know, maybe you gotta, I always say, like, they used to always say, it's like, it's like it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I'm always like, shit, I know all the wrong people. After all these years, I know all the wrong people. You know, it's like, oh, Chris, you didn't sleep with the right people. Like, I guess not, because I'm nowhere. Like, so it's like, it's crazy that way. But, you know, it's even difficult in the music world too. You know, I mean, so many musicians, it's ridiculous. There's more now. There's too much of everything in the world today as it is.
Yeah.
But it's crazy nowadays. And that's why, you know, everybody I think has to be realistic, lower your, you know, don't have any expectations, just do it because you love it. And just keep doing it and then see what happens and where it takes you. You know, what do you want out of life? If you want, you know, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, or do you want, you know, fancy cars and fancy clothes and big houses? You're going to get let down.
Understanding what success means to you.
Yeah. I was telling you, I was successful the day I told my parents to fuck off and I moved to LA. Everything else has been icing on that cake. You know, they were like, you'll never make it. You'll be back in a week. I'm like, fuck you. I ain't coming back at all. So to me, for me, it was just about getting out. And I think I think that's what, I mean, again, you're right. You have to define what success is. So, you know, these days waking up, success, I'm breathing. So you set the bar really low. Anything else, everybody?
I got one.
Go
I got
for
one
it.
for my mom.
Oh God.
I heard you said you shot Bill Collins.
Yes.
And she's a big fan, and she wanted to ask, what was it like shooting him, and what do you think made him special?
Okay, so I'm a big Genesis Phil Collins fan. Back in the 80s, early 80s, in late 70s, I was a big Genesis fan. So growing up with that, and then finally meeting him, I flew to England for the first time in 85, I think it was. And I got to drive, I took a taxi from the airport to the recording studio, got to meet him and shoot him. And I met the rest of Genesis was there. And it was like I won the contest. And I ended up shooting him a couple times after that and saw him in concert a ton of times. Big fan, nicest man ever, great drummer. I'm sad for him now and how he's health-wise, but he's just, shows were great, nicest guy in the world, can't go wrong with him, you know, just super, super cool, super nice guy, a lot of fun. One of my favorite drummers of all time. I've shot over 300-400 drummers in my career because I used to shoot a lot of drum company stuff, and he's in my top 5 favorite drummers by far, and brilliant drummer. So. Awesome.
And again, thank you for being keen to listen to my content in the future.
Yeah, tell your mom she's got good taste. Cool. I think they were Genesis was going to tour again, and they had to cancel everything.
Yeah, I think they came into Melbourne and Sydney, I think late last year.
Yeah, something like that. Very cool. Very cool. Anybody else? Are we done? You guys, nobody's talking to me about.
I have a little addition. I've been listening in intently, and at the start of this Zoom call, in my defense, this is my second. I wasn't really prepared to be sort of asking any questions or anything. I was trying to get my mental headspace going with the whole performance style thing. So I really wish I just, had, better preparation and I wish I had this call last week so that, I could be here in this mindset that I'm in now. So I want to say thank you.
No worries, all good.
I've sort of looked into your work while being on the phone, and you're the guy that does the darkroom photos, the vintage, the old Chris Cornell. What was it? Did you shoot Bringing Sexy Back? Was that you?
No, I didn't.
No?
Do Justin.
Oh, okay.
No.
Oh,
no,
okay.
but I've been doing.
I thought that was your style.
No. I've done a lot of stuff, but not him. I
looked up all your stuff, and there was so much, so many massive pop artists influences. Well, what's pop art now? Influences with your name on the bottom of the photo, and it's crazy.
You should see my hit list. I've had a hit list my whole career where all the people for everybody I've shot, I can tell you one I didn't like. I wanted to shoot Freddie Mercury. I dreamed about it, never got to shoot him. So many artists that I didn't get to do. And you should see my hit list. I just pulled it up right now. like the new artists that I would love to spend the day. I would love to lock myself in a hotel room with Lady Gaga, like Lady Gaga, me in a hotel room with a camera and a half a dozen bottles of champagne. Shit,
I'd like to see that.
Really good. Yeah. And I keep telling my friends, I need to meet her. She's going to love me when she meets me. Because I do crazy shit that nobody sees.
See, and it's that, you know, that she's not just the face. She's put in the work in her own creative devices, and she's got her own things that you guys together, you know, you wouldn't even be able to comprehend yet.
Because like I tell people all the time, you got to understand, like there's so many sides of me and so many things that I do. And to tell you guys a secret between us only, I have 6 aliases that I shoot under that nobody knows that are me. So I do all kinds of work that people don't even fucking know. So they all think, that guy's great. I go, really? He's really good. Yeah, that's me. And they go, what the fuck? And so I've always created, because I have like ideas.
Daft Punk of the photo shoot world.
All sorts of crazy shit that I do. But the idea is that, because if I did it at all as Chris Cuffaro, people would get confused. We don't understand who you are. But I've always had a hit list, and I've always tried to shoot these people, and I'm still, you know, going after them one at a time. But they're not easy to get to, and I don't work as hard at it as I used to. In the old days, I used to really hustle to get to people, but you know, there's a lot of people out there, you know, it's almost easier to shoot people to get to people. In the old days, it was really hard to get to people. A little easier, but it's hard. It's hard. I'd rather shoot new artists. People want to expose
themselves more now. You know, it's not as old school.
Exactly. But I'd rather
want to keep their talents.
Right, but I'd rather shoot new artists like you than some jaded, fucked up person that's been around for a long time. When I shoot new artists, my joy is that you're passionate about what you do. You're excited. You've got your whole future ahead, and you're like, I'm loving this. I want to do this, and I feed off of that, because home alone. I'm just a cranky old man. You know, I'm just like, been there, done that. Jaded. Fuck off. You know, you think that was tough.
Awesome.
So like,
well, I don't really have a question. In the spirit of Matt, I kind of have a prop for you, man. Like I didn't really know who you were. Now I do. I want to say
nobody.
Thanks for the, you know, everything everyone else is going to be appreciative for, but mainly that attitude. So I'll share my experience in the hospitality industry. I started working as a chef in a 4.5-star hotel, and I met a chef that never really cared too much about his food, and then I had a chef that trained me, and she cared about everything. And I learned, you know, the best of the best from her. But one thing I took from him is this attitude. And he did this little thing all the time. He'd just go like this. He'd just go up to you and he'd be like, come on, mate. Well, he wouldn't even need to say it. But what he was saying with his hands was, get it done. Yeah. And I have that in my head. Every time I see someone go like that, I'm like, just get it done.
Well,
that's awesome.
There's this thing I tell people all the time. When you're doing something, and I do this all the time, somebody asks you, hey, would you play this show? And you're like, okay, I'll play the show. And then the show sucks. And you're like, oh, great, that sucked. That wasted my time and my energy, and I feel shitty. So I tell people, like, 9 times out of 10, when you do something, you always learn something, but 9 times out of 10, you learn, I'll never do that again. People have asked me to do shoots. I'm like, yeah, I'll shoot this person. And then I walk away going, what the fuck was that for? That was a waste of time and money and energy. So sometimes that's how you learn. So if somebody comes back to you and says, would you play that show again? And they're going to go, no, last time I did it sucked. So you know what? This time I'm busy. I can't do it. So you got to learn something every time. So you learned from one chef, you learn how to do things. And the other chef is, I learned, I don't want to do things like he does. So you learn, you're just learning though. You're constantly learning. And that's what's important. Always learning, moving forward and learning.
Awesome. I love that. Honestly, I needed to say mad props to you for bringing that energy. And I've only met, a few people in my life that are like that.
Well, when I come back to Sydney, we can all have a party.
I definitely agree. When you find, that chef that tried to train me and the manager chef that taught me something that I didn't really know he taught me. When you find that balance, you get, this awesome thing that happens through creativity.
I have another motto I live by. My greatest hits project we started 10 years ago. Our motto, all my friends that helped me with my crew, because we're doing a documentary and all this stuff. We have a motto, and it's a simple motto with everything that I do: go big or shut the fuck up. Basically, if you don't go big, again, I yell at my Australian friends all the time. They're like, "Oh, just have a little exhibition, throw a couple photos up on the wall." I'm like, no, I have to have like freaking bands playing. I got to have fucking 1,000 photos. I got 1,000 people. You know, we got to have, it's got to be big. Go big or shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
I hate when people think small. I hate it. Hate it.
Okay, cool. Well,
Don't
thank
think
you for
small.
bringing that energy.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's the biggest thing is thank you for your energy, Chris, because
I'm crazy.
it's a good shake up to have in these masterclasses.
Wait till you see me on coffee.
When it's not like 11 o'clock at night as well.
Exactly. Any more? Is that it?
One last one.
One. Okay.
I was wondering, have you ever seen like Metallica and stuff?
Oh, I shot Lars once. Not a fan. Not a huge fan of Metallica. I shot Megadeth 4 times. It was never my thing.
Sure.
Like, I get it. And I like them. I like some of the songs, but it was not.
Did you meet Eddie Vedder? I've got to ask. Sorry.
Eddie, yes, I shot Pearl Jam.
He's like my spirit animal.
Oh, he's the worst.
Is he?
The worst person in the world.
I
Horrible.
heard he's an asshole.
He's the biggest.
I swear to God, for a beautiful singer, he's
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I used to, back in the day when I first met him, I haven't seen him in 20 years, but when we first met, we hung out a lot. We were good friends. His girlfriend at the time, Beth, became good friends. And I flew her to Hawaii with me to see the last Jane's Addiction show. I flew her down to see him play with Fugazi the first time, things like that. We were good, close friends, and Eddie treated me well. I have like letters written by him and postcards, and I shot Pearl Jam a shit ton. Like, you can go to my websites and see tons and tons of photos of Pearl Jam. I did an exhibition, a Pearl Jam exhibition back in October that did really well. But I always tell people Pearl Jam, one of my friends is a massive Pearl Jam fanatic, and him and I argue all the time. I go, they only have one good record. Everything after 10.
Yeah, I'm not a Pearl Jam fan. I just love Eddie Vedder, and his music in a lot of movies is just great.
Yeah. No, he's a brilliant songwriter, brilliant, like genius, and I to this day I can't believe he's done what he's done. I mean, at the time, he's another one of those guys that was poor, starving musician. I gave him a guitar. I bought him a Fender Strat. I got for him. I fed him many of times, and now he's rich and successful, and he forgot me.
These creative people just must manifest out of these corners of the world. You must feel so lucky to be able to see them and see them grow. Yeah. I know that I've met very talented people in my life, and I probably won't ever be able to aspire to that, but just having the aspirations and being
you got to go big. Like every musician I shot in Australia, I got mad at them. Oh, like, what's your goal? Oh, if I play the club, next week and can do a show, I'll be happy. I'm like, fucking, you got to think about Wembley Stadium. How's your show going to do Wembley Stadium? Like, fucking aim big, motherfuckers. Like, go big. Quit this little shit. Because you can aim low all you want, but you got to go big. You go be Freddie Mercury. Just watch Freddie Mercury over and over and over and be that. That guy was the best lead singer on the planet.
Yeah. Like, why aren't we doing a Live Aid right now, honestly, for medical relief?
I guarantee that stuff will be down the line. You watch. As soon as people can get out and be in public and be together, I keep telling everybody, I can't wait to the first event where it's like, maybe it's Coachella, whatever it is. When we actually get to be around each other and touch each other and hug each other, oh my God, it's gonna be ridiculous. I had a friend come over last week, stay with me for a few days, and all we did was hug each other all day long. Just like holding each other, which just felt good to touch somebody and to hold somebody. Oh my God, it was incredible. So as soon as we can start touching each other again, it's gonna be fun.
Woo. Definitely. I can't wait to go to all the gigs again and take all the pictures of gigs again. So I think
stay away from the musicians, please.
Last thing I wanted to say was, again, thank you very much, Chris. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, seriously, this is
how to
such
find
a cool opportunity. So thank you for being, accessible, Chris, and a big part of MAD. And thanks for supporting everything that they do, because they support us. So
I know that's what it's. again, teamwork makes the dream work.
It sure does. I have quite a few notes and things I'm going to write and put all over my wall.
Okay, follow up. Reach out to me,
yeah.
please. Let everybody, I want to hear from everybody at any time, and let me know what I can do to help. And I'll let you guys know when I'm coming back to Australia. It won't be this year. Hopefully next year.
Can you just tell us the things that your affirmations, if you will? Because I've got a few too.
Well, these days, it's like the last probably 10 years of my life, I live a life, what I call a grateful life. And every night I go to bed, I say the same thing over and over again, 3 times. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You got to live a grateful life. And as you can tell, especially during these times, you know, we're losing a lot of people. There's a lot, it's the uncertainty, the crazy. So just be thankful. I always tell people, it's just about say thank you. Say thank you to friends. Say thank you when you're at MAD. Thank you to MAD. You just be thankful because, you know, everything is temporary. Nothing lasts forever. And, you know, a friend of mine just lost her dad and because of this virus. And we were talking and I just said to her, you know, the one thing I found getting older is you start losing. You start losing your health, you lose friends, you lose life, you just start losing as slowly as you. So that's why I tell my young friends, and I have all my friends are in their 20s these days, tell them all the time, be grateful. Stop for a minute, you know, smell the roses, drink the coffee, whatever, but be grateful, because this shit doesn't last forever. I yell at my friends all the time, I'm not going to be here forever, so shut up, be nice. So just be grateful and say thank you all the time. And I think you'll be surprised. And it's fun when you can go to somebody, and I do it all the time. I text my friends all the time, you know, thank you. And they're like, oh, and then the other thing I do is, I had a girlfriend years ago said the nicest thing to me, taught me the nicest thing. She taught me this thing that I do to this day, which is every day you wake up, you try to make one person smile. And luckily for me, it used to be her, and it was me for her and her for me. But since then, I always tell her, every day I text somebody and say, thank you, or I miss you, or I love you, or that adds up. That's what I call the karma bank. That's what you fill the karma bank with. That's what makes you the person you are. And then when you're like, I need to do a show, or I'm working on a song, or I'm doing this, those people are the ones that I'm going to go see him play because he's good to me and I'm going to be good to him. That's why I have 100 best friends and even hundreds more friends around the world, because I'm nice to everybody and I take care of everybody. I take care of my friends. So always, and then I say thank you when they do something nice for me. My best friend, Amelia, on my birthday, was the only person I saw. She came by with a mask on and gloves on and brought me a piece of birthday cake and some flowers just to say, you know, she just moved back to Hawaii and that was the nicest thing in the world. And she said, I had to do this because she goes, you're my friend. So to me, it's like you do stuff like that, you know, whether it's a girlfriend, boyfriend, whether it's just a friend, whether it's your parents, whether it's whoever, your MAD cohorts, you'd be surprised. You know, you've heard of the Beatles, right?
Yes.
You've heard of the Beatles. And you know this, there's a lyric of theirs is the love you give is the love you take. So the more you give, the more you take.
Yeah.
It's very important.
I believe that's one of Newton's laws as well.
Yeah. I just know it's John Lennon's.
Well, in saying that, thank
right.
you, Chris, and thank you to Emerald for putting all this together. And Matt, Dom's not here anymore, but I'm sure he'll see this as it's recording.
Because he's heard
you,
all this
Dom,
shit before.
For connecting it.
So you guys let me know when you guys want to do this again. We can talk about entirely. I have so much shit I could talk about. We can talk about cooking. Let's talk about cooking.
I want to hear more about your Martha Stewart, obsession one day.
Oh, my Martha Stewart. Oh, I worshipped her. I wanted to be her.
Well, we shall get there someday.
Well, these are freezing on some wonderful faces.
I've got a few mad props that I'd like to share. Can I mad props you, Blake, for jumping in and performing for us, which we haven't seen in a while. That was really awesome. Thank you very much. Mad props to Gabbro for being an awesome host. I knew that you would kill it. Thank you very much for doing that. Good job. And mad props for Chris. Thank you very much for your time. And I also wanted to mad props you because the role of a photographer, I feel, is, kind of behind the scenes and somewhat in the shadows, in the same way that like a movie director is. When you work with famous people, it can often be those people that get the attention, you know, and everybody wants to know about the artists you've shot. But I just wanted to mad props you for your own niche that you carved and the style that you created.
Well, there's an old saying, and I'm sure you guys have heard this. If a tree falls in a forest and nobody's there to take a picture of it, did it really happen? So give the photographer some love. Always. You know, photographers always tell people, if they're not there to take pictures, you know, nobody knows. So got to do it. Thank you guys, everybody. Thanks, Mad. Love Mad.
Oh, this has been the best, and we shall all do the work. I think that's the one thing we're all going to take out of this. So,
I'm making a t-shirt. Do the work.
Send us all the link. We'll buy it.
Will.
I
Right.
will.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Chris. So nice to meet you.
Bye, Jen.
Thanks,
Bye,
guys.
Michael. Bye, Tara.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, Jenny.
Behave.
You too. Bye.